Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are tackling a huge one, artificial intelligence. We're going to look at its incredible promise, but also the serious peril that comes with it. We'll get into its growing power, how much we're starting to rely on it, and the new dangers that are popping up as it evolves at this, frankly, kind of scary pace.
Okay, let's just jump right into it with this number. A new survey from the Reuters Institute found that 61% of people have now used a generative AI tool like ChatGPT. I mean, that is a massive leap. So while we're all figuring out how to use this stuff for everything from our homework to creative projects, you have to remember, this technology is also learning, and it's evolving in ways we're only just starting to wrap our heads around.
Yeah, because this isn't just about getting better answers to our questions anymore. Not even close. What we're witnessing right now is a fundamental shift. We're moving from an AI that just, passively responds to what we ask, to an AI that can proactively act for us. And this whole revolution is unfolding way faster than pretty much anyone expected.
And the key to this whole thing is the rise of what the tech analysts at Gartner are calling agentic AI. So you got to forget about your simple chatbot. These new systems, they're designed to be autonomous. It's really the difference between asking a calculator for an answer and handing a whole project over to a smart coworker and just trusting them to figure out all the steps and get it done.
And this number really shows you the breakneck speed of this change. Gartner is predicting a 40% year-over-year surge in the adoption of these agentic systems. Okay, think about it like this. A typhoon starts forming in the Pacific. Before a human even gets the weather alert, this AI has already analyzed all the shipping routes and it's rerouted a dozen cargo ships to get them out of harm's way, all by itself. That's the kind of power we're talking about here.
So okay, we've got these incredibly powerful AI coworkers showing up in the workplace. But what about the rest of us? As this tech moves from the server room into our living rooms, it brings up some pretty big questions. Like, how are we, the public, actually using it? And maybe more importantly, how do we really feel about all this?
I mean, the growth here is just staggering. That same report from Reuters shows that the number of people using generative AI every single week has nearly doubled in just 1 year. To put that in perspective, it took the internet about 3 years to see that kind of explosive growth back in the late 90s. AI did it in 1.
And what's really fascinating about this is how our behavior is changing. A year ago, the main reason people used AI was to create stuff, text, images, a little bit of code. But this year, that's been totally flipped. Now, the *1 use is just seeking information. We're turning to AI more and more for facts and research, which basically makes it a brand new kind of information gatekeeper. And that raises a whole new set of questions about who and what we trust.
And that brings us right here to what you could call a massive comfort gap. Just look at these numbers when it comes to news. 62% of us are totally fine with news written by a human journalist. Makes sense. But when it's written entirely by AI, whoa, that number just plummets to 12%. This shows a really deep public anxiety, a 50-point trust deficit, especially when the information is something really important.
So all this anxiety, this deep-seated skepticism, it brings us to a really critical point. What if the very things that make AI so powerful, its intelligence, its autonomy, are the exact same things that open the door to a whole new and much more sophisticated world of risks?
And it turns out that's exactly what's happening. The very features that are designed to make AI feel more helpful, more personalized, well, those are the exact same features that can be weaponized by attackers. They're creating vulnerabilities that we've honestly never had to deal with before.
So let's take a look at a brand new vulnerability that cybersecurity researchers are calling tainted memories. Now, this one is especially sneaky because it targets a feature that's actually supposed to be helpful, ChatGPT's ability to remember your previous conversations to give you better, more personalized results. But what if that memory could be poisoned? So here's how the attack works. First, an attacker tricks you into clicking a link. It looks totally harmless, but in the background, a little poison pill of malicious code is silently injected right into the AI's memory. So later, when you're just asking a completely normal, legitimate question, that hidden command gets triggered. And just like that, your helpful assistant could become a spy in your machine.
And look, this isn't just some theory that researchers cooked up in a lab. These new capabilities are already being used out in the wild. They are fueling a new generation of scams that are just way more convincing and way more devastating than anything we have ever seen before.
Okay, just take this case from earlier this year. A finance worker,
Someone at a big multinational firm in Hong Kong, so, not a rookie, someone who is experienced and careful, was tricked by scammers into transferring a staggering $25 million. And this wasn't just some fake email with bad grammar. No, this was a highly sophisticated digital con.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth did they pull that off? Well, they used deepfake technology. We're talking AI-generated video and audio that is so realistic it is almost impossible to spot as a fake. The scammers didn't just write a phony email. They staged an entire video conference call starring a perfect digital clone of the company's CFO.
And that is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, the modern scammer's toolkit is getting supercharged by AI. We are seeing criminals clone a child's voice from just a 15-second clip on social media to make a fake kidnapping call to their parents. We're seeing romance scammers use fake video personas to build trust over months and months. The line between what is real and what's fake is getting dangerously, dangerously blurry.
So, all right, with all these dangers becoming clearer literally by the day, the big question is, what is actually being done to protect us? Because the technology is moving at light speed, but our laws and our regulations, well, they're still moving at the speed of government.
Now, we are starting to see some action. California, for instance, has become a real battleground for this. They've signed some landmark bills that are among the first in the country to actually try and write safety into law. You've got SB 53, which forces the big AI developers to be transparent about their safety testing. And then there's SB 524, which puts really strict rules on how law enforcement can even use AI.
But here's the real paradox. All of this action at the state level is happening while things at the federal level are basically at a standstill. A recent government shutdown furloughed over 80% of the staff at the Federal Trade Commission and made deep cuts at CISA, that's the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Our nation's top cyber defense team? So at the exact moment states are trying to build up guardrails, our national watchdogs are being seriously weakened.
And all of this leaves us with the urgent, defining question of our time when it comes to AI. We've got a technology that's evolving, deploying new capabilities in a matter of months. But our legal systems, our regulations, they operate on timelines of years. Can we close that gap? Can we close it before it's too late? That is the challenge right in front of us.